Okay, so now I want to just show you quickly how to make a histogram if you're using Microsoft Excel for a Mac, on a Mac computer. So we're going to make a histogram of this commute variable here. That's the response variable in my example that looks at byte commuting. So the first step is you're going to want to scroll down and create labels here for the minimum value, the maximum value, the range between the minimum and maximum value, and then I'll call this one 8 bars, and that's going to tell us how many values or the range of values that each bar should cover if we want to have about 8 bars. So let's calculate those values for this commute variable. Equals min, and we're in the F column here. We go from F2 to F63, so we can type that in or we could select the cells. Okay, there we get our min value. Now let's calculate the max. Equals max, same cells, F2 to F63. Okay, so now we can calculate the range between our maximum and our minimum. We just subtract the minimum from the maximum, F66 minus F65. Takes a minute to calculate it, apparently. Okay, so we have to cover a range of 2.17. And if we wanted to have 8 bars on our histogram, we would divide that by 8. So if we wanted to have 8 bars, then we'd have to cover about 0.27 with each bar. So we kind of want to use round numbers for our class sizes or for our bar sizes. So in this case, let's make it a little bigger. Let's just round up to 0.5. Let's say each bar is going to cover 0.5, a range of 0.5. So then we'll go up here, create a new column for commute cutoffs. And so our minimum value is 0.11. So we're going to need to, and our classes are each going to cover 0.5. So let's start at 0, and then our first cutoff, we'll add 0.5 to that to get the first cutoff. So 0 plus 0.5 is just 0.5. And our next cutoff will be 0.5 larger than that, that's at 1. And once you create these first two, you can actually just drag down until you get past your maximum value. So this is a little different than what we did in the Windows version of Excel, where we didn't include that last cutoff that was larger than our maximum value. But here our maximum is 2.28, and we do want to include that cutoff value for 2.5. Okay, so now let's make the labels that will go on our histogram that are going to label each bar with the range that it is covering. So let's call those class labels. So the first bar is going to go from 0 to 0.5. The next bar is 0.5 to 1, then 1 to 1.5, 1.5 to 2, and 2 to 2.5. Okay, so those will be the labels on the bottom of our histogram that tell anyone who's looking at the histogram what range of values each bar represents. Okay, so then now we're going to want to actually calculate the number of cities. In my case, the individuals are cities. So how many cities fall into each of these ranges on the commute variable? So let's call that commute FREQ for frequency. And then we can use kind of a cool function. If we select all these cells, just the cells right next to our class labels, Select all those, then go to the formula bar up here, and we can actually type in the formula for all the cells at once. So equals frequency, and then it's going to ask you for a data array and a bins array. The bins are those cutoff values. So first we're going to select our data, and we won't select the variable name, just the data itself. So again, that goes from F2 to F63. I'll just select it with my mouse this time. Okay, so that's our data array. Type a comma, and then we select our cutoff values, the bins. And that's those cutoff values, not the labels. The labels are for our graph, but we want to select the cutoff values. Okay, and then now, because we want to calculate this for all of these cells that are highlighted in blue right here, instead of hitting enter, we are going to hold shift and control, and then we'll hit enter. And that way it runs this formula for all of these cells. So just remember that you hold shift and control on your Mac keyboard, and then you hit enter. Okay, so that now we've got the number of cases that are in each of our classes for the histogram. So now creating the histogram is pretty straightforward. Just select your class labels and your frequency counts. So this is the count of cities in each class. Then go up here on the top menu to charts. Select all the way to the left the column chart option, and the very first option, clustered column. Okay, so that's our histogram without any kind of sprucing up, as I said in the other instructions. So we'll want to spruce this up a little bit so that it looks like an actual histogram. We at least have the right labels here, but we can go to the chart layout options. First thing we'll want to do is add a chart title above the chart, and I'll call this histogram of bike commuting percentage. Then we'll add some labels to the axis titles. Title below axis, so that's for our x-axis, and these are percent commuting by bike. And then on the vertical axis title, you can do the rotated title, and this will be our count. In this case, this is the number of cities, so it's just a count of the number of cities. And then the last thing that we'll want to do is actually click on the bars. So that's going to change the current selection up here to the series, to series 1. And we can go to format selection, so we're going to format our series. In the first window here, the first option in the list is options. That's where you change your gap width. So change that to 0. And then let's go to line so that we can create lines around the bars. You can do whatever color you want, but black is usually an easy color to see. Hit OK. Alright, and we've got a well-formatted histogram now. So clearly this is a right-skewed distribution. It doesn't look like there's any outliers, but definitely right-skewed, so that's how you describe this histogram.